Now, I thought this was a really interesting little piece here. This is from ABC, and it's called Leave No Dark Corner, and it is about the social credit surveillance system which you find in CA, and I think you'll all understand what I mean by the initial CA. And you can see here all of the people being mapped out by the closed caption cameras that are all over the country. And I thought I would video it this way because I thought this was a very interesting way of presenting a little documentary. So here we go. CA is building a digital dictatorship to exert control over its 1.4 billion citizens. For some, social credit will bring privileges, for others, punishment. Dandan Fan is very much the modern Chinese woman. A marketing professional, she's diligent and prosperous. In many ways, she's a model Chinese citizen. But Dandan is being watched 24 hours a day. A vast network of 200 million CCTV cameras across CA ensures there's no dark corner in which to hide. Every step she takes, every one of her actions, big or small, even what she thinks, can be tracked and judged. And Dandan says that's fine with her. What may sound like a dystopian vision of the future is already happening in CA, and it's making and breaking lives. The Communist Party calls it social credit and says it will be fully operational by 2020. Within years, an official party outline claims it will allow the trustworthy to roam freely under the heaven, whilst making it hard for the discredited to take a single step. And here we see cameras monitoring a busy street in the capital city, a part of a network of 200 million CCTV cameras all across CA. Social credit is like a personal scorecard for each of CA's 1.4 billion citizens. In one pilot program already in place, each citizen has been assigned a score out of 800. In other programs, it's 900. Those, like Dandan, with top citizen scores get VIP treatment at hotels and airports, cheap loans, and fast track to the best universities and jobs. Those at the bottom can be locked out of society and banned from travel or barred from getting credit or government jobs. The system will be enforced by the latest in high-tech surveillance systems as CA pushes to become the world leader in artificial intelligence. Surveillance cameras will be equipped with facial recognition, body scanning and geo-tracking to cast a constant gaze over every citizen. And you can see here everyone and everything is being mapped. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not exactly the kind of world that I want to find myself living in. And of course, as we've seen time and time again, these systems do tend to fold in on themselves because everyone is so frightened of breaking any one of the millions and millions of rules with absolutely horrible results that they tend to be, they just stay with so within the party lines that they lose all kinds of creativity and imagination. Smartphone apps will also be used to collect data and monitor online behavior on a day-to-day basis. Then big data from more traditional sources like government records, including educational and medical, state security assessments and financial records, will be fed into individual scores. Trial social credit systems are now in various stages of development in at least a dozen cities across China. Several companies are working with the state to nationalize the system, coordinate and configure the technology, and finalize the algorithms that will determine the national citizen score. It's probably the largest social engineering project ever attempted, a way to control and coerce more than 1 billion people. If successful, it will be the world's first digital dictatorship. At the supermarket, Dandan is browsing the aisles. Even this everyday task will not escape the party's penetrating gaze. When social credit is fully implemented, what she puts into the trolley could impact her social score. Buying too much alcohol might suggest dependence. She'll lose a couple of points. Buying a pack of nappies or diapers might suggest responsibility. She'll gain a few points. The system will be live, so her score will update in real time. Dan Dan doesn't object to the prospect of life under the state's all-seeing surveillance network. The 36-year-old knows social credit is not a perfect system, but believes it is the best way to manage a complex country with the world's biggest population. I think people in every country want a stable and safe society, she says. If, as our government says, every corner of public space is installed with cameras, I'll feel safe. She's also likely to benefit from the system. Dan Dan's financial behaviour will be an important measure for the National Social Credit Score. Under an existing financial credit scheme called Sesame Credit, Dan Dan has a very high score of 770 out of 800. She is very much the loyal CA citizen. A financial app shows Dan Dan's score is 773 out of 800. The perks of such a high score are only a few taps away. Thanks to her rating, Dan Dan is already able to partake in many of the rewards of CA's rapid development. An app on her phone gives access to special privileges like renting a car, hotel room, or a house without deposit. But social credit will be affected by more than just internet browsing and shopping decisions. Now this is the really interesting part. This is where it gets very, very interesting. Who your friends and family are will affect your score. Oh, really? If your best friend or your dad says something negative about the government, you'll lose points too. Well, fancy that. So now you have to control your entire family. Who you date and ultimately partner with will also affect social credit. Oh, look at that. Dan Dan says surveillance in CA's public spaces makes her feel safe, even if the government uses it to keep an eye on citizens. You keep on thinking that, Dan Dan. Dan Dan married for love, but she chose the right husband. Xiaojing Zhang is likely to have an even higher score than her. He's a civil servant in the Justice Department, a loyal cadre to the party. We need a social credit system, says Xiao Zhang. In the CA nation, we hope we can help each other, love each other, and help everyone become prosperous. As President Xi said, we will be rich and democratic, cultural, harmonious, and beautiful. It is Xi's hope for the country's future. It is also the hope of the whole CA nation. Well, if you look at what's going on there right now, I don't think it is. Oh, and there they are. A happy little one-child family. As Dan Dan and Xiao Zhang are model parents, their son, Rubeo, too, will benefit from their social credit too. CA has long been a surveillance state, so the citizenry is accustomed to the government taking a determining role in personal affairs. For many in CA, privacy doesn't have the same premium as it does in the West. The CA place a higher value on community good versus individual rights, so most feel that if social credit will bring a safer, more secure, more stable society, then bring it on. But most don't seem to comprehend the all-encompassing control social credit is likely to have, and there's been no public debate about implementing the system inside China. In private, there's been some disquiet in the educated middle classes about the citizen score being the only criterion for character assessment. But that's not going to stop the rollout. The party is using the system to win back some of the control it lost when CA opened up to the world in the 1980s and rapid development followed. It's a way to silence dissent and ensure the party's absolute dominance. Already about 10 million people have been punished. 10 million people have been punished in the trial areas of social credit. Liu Hu is just one of them. In many societies, he would be celebrated, not in CA. Li Hu is an investigative journalist who has uncovered corruption at the top levels of the party and solved several serial murder cases. He says the government considers him an enemy. Hu lost his social credit when he was charged with speech crime. See that? Speech crime. Be careful what you say. And now finds himself locked out of society due to his low score. In 2015, Hu lost a defamation case after he accused an official of extortion. He was made to publish an apology and pay a fine, but when the court demanded an additional fee, he refused. Last year, the 43-year-old found himself blacklisted as dishonest under a pilot social credit scheme. There are a lot of people who are on the blacklist wrongly, but they cannot get off it, says Hugh. It's destroyed his career and isolated him, and now he fears for his family's future. The social credit system has closed down his travel options and kept him under effective house arrest in his hometown of Chongqing. In an apartment above the streets of Chongqing City, Hugh tries to use a phone app to book train tickets to Xi'an. The attempt is rejected. The app says it failed to make a booking and my access to high-speed rail is legally restricted, he explains. Hugh's social media accounts, where he published much of his investigative journalism, have also been shut down. Hugh claims his combined WeChat and Weibo accounts had 2 million followers at their peak, but are now censored. Chinese journalist Liu Hu lost his social credit and is effectively confined to house arrest. Hugh believes his blacklisting is political and has tried to appeal to authorities. So far he's been met with silence. Hugh wants to warn the world of the nightmare of social credit. Doing so could put his friends and family at risk of reprisals from the state, but Hugh believes that most CA don't yet understand what's to come under the digital totalitarian state. You can see from the people's mental state, says Hugh. Their eyes are blinded and their ears are blocked. They know little about the world and live in an illusion. Dan sees blue skies in her digital future, and for her there's another incentive to be optimistic about social credit. It's a way to ensure a happy and healthy future for her 2-year-old son, Rui Bao. Thanks to his parents' high citizen scores, Rui Bao will get the best possible start in life, the best housing, schools and health care. The provisions and protections of the party will be bestowed upon him, so long as mum and dad keep their credit up. And of course, being a high flyer is no guarantee of protection, so this is a false faith that Dan has in the system, because as we've seen recently over this outbreak around the world, our CV, there were doctors who were fired for whistleblowing, for alerting people to the truth, to talking to other doctors, which is what they're supposed to do to, any new diseases, this kind of stuff, to keep it in check. And so, even doctors who must be pretty high on the social credit system were discredited, were forced to apologize, and were arrested by the state. So, my friends, be careful what you wish for. If this is the kind of life that you want to lead, if you think that this is going to make you safe, well, carry on. But I can guarantee you, as we've seen, nothing makes you safe in a Marxist state, because as soon as you dare to tell the truth about anything, you are arrested and shut down. Well, if you have enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. You take care now. Bye-bye.